Hello there, everyone. I'm Sandy Anastasi, psychic channel, intuitive astrologer, and soul coach. Folks, I'm here with my editorial video blog for September of 2020. This particular video blog is a little bit unusual, but it, I think, is one of my most important ones, so I'm glad you're here to listen. Folks, this deals with the importance of eliminating fear from your life. And when you eliminate fear from your life, from your thoughts, from your response patterns, you eliminate it from your vibration, from your energy field. This is so important. Simply put, when you're fearful, your energy field, which we in the metaphysical field call your aura, becomes vulnerable to invasion. The result is that you begin to feel tired, weak, unhappy, and negative, as your very life force is bled away from you, leaking out through the holes in your aura that fear has created. Usually, when that condition exists, the energy that's leaking out is actually going to empower the very person or thing that you fear. Think about that. As a clairvoyant, I can literally see the darkness that surrounds a person who lives in fear. Often that darkness can become so pervasive that it actually fills the whole environment where that fearful person lives. Those reading or hearing this who are not clairvoyant can still see the fear that radiates from someone by recognizing the stooped way that they carry themselves, that fearful person, by the lines appearing in their face, by the way their gaze tends to dart furtively from thing to thing, by the way their eyes have dulled, by the way that person's focus and concentration seems to wander. Often also by the way a formerly pristine person has stopped caring for themselves. The person who is overwhelmed by fear often seems totally self-involved, and in conversation, they keep returning to the same subjects over and over again that are those they most fear. When someone feels trapped by their fears, they often draw into themselves. They no longer go out. They no longer reach out to others. Often they turn into addictive substances to numb the pain that living in fear has created. Other people begin to shun them, and then their fears begin to multiply. Eventually, they begin to live constantly alone with their fears. And they may even be afraid to turn away from the things that they fear when offered a solution. Now, how concerning is that? That's right. Very often people who live in fear turn away from the solution when it's offered to them. They choose instead to continue to live with their fears. When a fearful person reaches that point, they have embraced what is called victim consciousness. We know, all of us, someone like this. Unfortunately, fear can pass from person to person, much like a virus. As a matter of fact, fears can multiply from being fearful of one thing to being fearful of many things. That is the reason we sometimes see whole families or even whole groups of people, pulled into the same fear-based consciousness. Fear, you see, is the most debilitating emotion that there is. Fear opposes joy, it opposes life, it opposes evolution and growth. Fear makes someone feel utterly powerless. Fear drains the life from the person who is afraid and from all of the people that try to help them and that they lean upon as well. Fear becomes a bottomless pit into which we all pour all that we are, and for no reason at all, as you will soon see. Unfortunately, at this time in our world, most people are overwhelmed by worry. My friends, worry is another word that we use to talk about the things that we fear. I strongly suggest that you immediately change that word in your vocabulary to the word concern, which is a very different word. Concern does not connote fear, but rather it talks about where you are choosing to put your attention. To worry says, be afraid, something bad is coming. When you think about it, those two words, worry versus concern, are two very different things. And your mind, and hence your energy pattern, is in a very different place as you think about each word. Worry is a reactive word. Concern is a generative word. How we think, my friends, is every bit as important as what we think. What you think and how you think about it controls your attention. Where you put your attention is where you're putting your energy, your very life force. It's important that all of us stop giving attention to the things that we fear. That's right. We have become a fear-based society, and that emotion has given rise to all sorts of bad things that we are better off without. Every bad thing that exists in our world right now is the result of fear-based thinking. Every good thing is the result of positive, self-aware, self-confident, and self-empowered thinking. What I'm saying is that fear is the root of all evil. And when we stop putting our energy into fear, we stop energizing evil. And we allow all of the goodness that we should be experiencing in our world to flow freely and to flow to us. That isn't to say that you should ignore your bills, for example. Do be concerned, but never fearful. Put what money you can into them, then let your concern go for now. Consciously turning your attention away from money-based fears or concerns and towards something that brings you joy and hope for happiness. You will immediately feel your mood lift, and everything in your world and your life will begin to improve, including your finances. Now that's just an example. Opportunities to improve your situation, whatever it is, whatever your concern is about, opportunities to improve it will begin to appear. Remember, I said that where you put your attention is where your energy goes. Well, the law of attraction, which everyone has heard of by now, tells us that where we put our energy and our mental focus creates the things that we attract into our lives. So when our mental focus and our attention and energy are on positive, upbeat things that make us feel happy, joyful, hopeful, we attract all those good things into our lives. But when our attention is on what we fear, we can only keep attracting more of what we fear into our lives. Sounds simple, doesn't it? And actually, in this case, it is. Turn putting your attention on things that make you feel good into a habit pattern. I would love for you to spend some time on this month. Join me in changing our world together right now. Identify the things that you fear. Do this with me. Make a list. Often, those things are the things that you find yourself repetitively talking about. They're in your mind all the time. Consciously change what you're thinking about, what you talk about, how you talk about it, so that at least 90% of the time, the things you think about and talk about make you feel good. So the first step in this is to catch yourself when you're thinking about something that makes you feel bad. Then, instead of talking about it, force yourself to think about something that makes you feel good and talk about that instead. Feel the vibrational shift when you do that. It's pretty amazing. So join me in that exercise of consciously changing what you think about, what you talk about, and how you talk about it, and get it to where 90% of the time the things that you think about and talk about make you feel good. If you absolutely have to deal with something that's really unpleasant, well, find something good about it. Or at least find something that is good about the projected outcome of it that makes you feel good while you're doing it. Change it up for something that feels good. As soon as you take control, your fears will begin to disappear one by one. A quote from one of my very favorite movies, Dune, it's an old movie, but a good one, comes to mind. Fear is the mind killer. There is nothing to fear except fear itself. Think about it. It's true. And that's a good mantra for all of us to repeat over and over again. So try that little exercise with me. For the first 21 days, just work on feeling a real difference in your mood and the way you feel about life in general. And do that activity of changing it up every time you catch yourself, every time you think about it. Change it up. Work on it for 21 days. That will set the new pattern in place. Then continue on for 66 days to institute a new habit of positive thinking into your brain. A positive thinking pattern that eliminates fear-based thinking patterns from your life once and for all. Thank you so much for staying through the end and listening. I know this was a long one, but it's an important one. And if you want to know more about me and my work, you can find me on www.sandyanastasi.com. I have a free newsletter and a free psychic hour I do monthly. So if you want to connect with me in person, that's a great way to do it. I also do see clients, and you can find out how to sign up right there on my website. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.